girls, particularly in high school and college, they reach out to me and they're like, Abby, I'm dating this guy and I want him to be crazy in love with me. How do I do it? Well, as a life coach, I understand that relationships are a vital part of your life. And girl, I've done them wrong and I've done them so right. And so today I am flat out gonna tell you how to make a guy crazy about you. So girl, you are gonna get the summary of about 5 books and like 10 years of my life in one video. So girl to girl, let's talk about how to make this guy crazy about you. So this first rule of dating that I teach as a life coach, crazy story, it came from this book that I love to garage sell, and old books are like a dime a dozen at garage sales. But I found this book and it was called The Rules of Dating. And it was from like the 20s, the 30s. And I was like, okay, I was dating at the time. And so I tossed it in my bag. I'm pretty sure they gave it to me for free. And it was amazing. It had all of these super old school, but true tried and tested tips. And this was one of them. And it was this: do not be too available. Now, specifically, here was the tip that came in this book. Don't be too available to the point that after Wednesday, you don't make weekend plans. Let me explain that. So let's pretend that a guy that you are just crazy about and you want to date him, you want to kiss his face, asks you out on Thursday. He's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you want to go to the movies with me? The girl who hasn't heard these tips, who hasn't gotten some hard life advice from her life coach, Abby J, would say, yes, I would love to. Oh, yeah, no, I can clear up my plans. I'll be there. Because granted, you want to hang out with him. I totally get it. Girl, if you want this guy to be crazy about you, that's not the right approach. Instead, you need to say, oh my gosh, I would love to go to the movies with you. I just have plans on Friday, so Friday won't work, but I would love to go with you any other day. Do you know what that does? That sends a signal to him that, girl, you're a hot commodity. And you can't be asking a girl out like yourself the day before, because obviously she's gonna have plans. Now, I can hear you panicking. I want to talk to you. You don't have to really have plans on Friday. You don't really have to, already have a date. You might, which would be amazing. But if you don't, you're not gonna lie, because I never advocate for not telling the truth. You're gonna have plans. Guess what those plans are? A date with yourself, a date with your bestie, hanging out with your mama. You don't have to disclose that information. All you have to say with your cute, bubbly personality, because you want them to know you're interested, but you're just not available. And that's the big distinction. A lot of girls get in trouble when they don't act interested and they're unavailable. That tells a guy no, I don't want to date you. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to go with you, and you do your little flirty eyelashes, you're laying on the charm, but you're like, oh, dang it, I already have plans on Friday, but please ask me out again. I would love to go with you. Big difference between oh yeah, I already got plans. I can't hang out with you. That tells the guy I don't want to date you. So do not be too available. And remember my Wednesday rule. The first time this happens to you, you're literally going to want to rip your heart out and be like, Abby, I hate you so much. Why would you tell me that? I could be at the movies right now with my dream guy, maybe holding his hand. Girl, it only takes one time. You will see. If he does not do it right then, he'll do it that weekend. He will call you and he'll say, hey, next week, do you want to go on a date with me? Hey, I've got this event coming up. Do you want to go with me? Because he realizes you're a hot commodity. And I'll just say this, it's real. I learned this from another book, that while playing games is silly and stupid, there is a part of human nature that is just how men are built, that they love the chase. They love to know that there's kind of this sense of competition and, man, I gotta be the one to win her heart. That really fuels and motivates them. And you're just playing into that human nature of, hey, I want to be won by you, but I'm not an easy catch. That's the whole encompassment of this. Don't be too available and follow that Wednesday rule that I just taught you from a book that I got like from the 30s, okay? It's amazing. This tip, I promise you've never heard of it before because it's an Abby original, but think Cleopatra. Hear me out, okay? Because this one is so different and out there, but girl, it works. So here's how the story goes. It is rumored, probably true in history, who knows, that Cleopatra, in her brilliance, in her realizing that she was nobody to stand up to the Roman Empire that was coming, she decided that she needed to seduce Caesar and Mark Antony, right? And the whole story. But she made up her mind, and how she seduced them is that she said that every time I interact with them, I want them to only think about joy. I want them to only think about how happy and wonderful I am. So what does that mean? And more importantly, what does that mean for you? That means that you think like Cleopatra. And so every time that you're with this guy that you want to date, or maybe you kind of are starting that relationship and you just want him to be head over heels for you, is that you pick one, maybe two attributes that you really want him to associate you with. So maybe that's being bubbly and fun. Maybe that's being kind and charismatic. Maybe that's being joyful, or that you guys have so much fun together. And so when you go on these dates with him, when you interact with him in the hall, when you just happen to see him with a big group of friends, you make sure that you are always embodying what you have decided is your word. So if mine is fun and I decide that we're always gonna have fun together, I'm gonna make sure that when I talk to him, I have this big smile in my voice and in my eyes, and I'm gonna tell him about all the fun things. I'm gonna tell him a funny joke. I'm gonna tell him oh my gosh, do you wanna go watch this funny movie with me? This would be really funny if this happened. You're just gonna do the things that make it so you have fun. Now, none of this is fake or that you're putting on a pretense, because these are qualities that you already have that you just want to be more of when you're around them. Because a lot of girls make this mistake, and it's an honest one, and it's one that we can fall into when we feel safe with a guy, but we can start to feel because this guy likes us, or because we want to be really open with this guy, if we've had a bad day, we'll go to him and we'll cry on his shoulder. And that's fine. That's a relationship should be emotionally supportive, and that you feel like you can go cry on their shoulder. But when you're first dating, and this is a video for girls who are just starting out on that journey, you don't want to do that. You don't want to come across as somebody that's always sad, somebody that always has a problem, somebody that always, it's just kind of down or prickly or icy. And I know that you would never think that, oh, that's what I'm putting out there. But how often have you been with a group of friends and, something's really upsetting you and you're just so standoffish or icy, or you're upset that another girl's here? And that vibe is picked up. So even if you're really feeling that way and you're oh, why is Sally here? I hate her and I just can't believe she'd be here, and she used to date this guy that I like, blah, blah, blah. Don't let that vibe come off. Think Cleopatra, pick your word, and be that word every time that you are in the same area as this guy. And guess what? That might get a little bit big as you are at school with this guy, as you are at friends and parties with this guy. Girl, you're trying to reel him in. We're trying to get this relationship to go. So just put your best self, pick your word, think Cleopatra, and be strategic about how you interact with your man. Okay, this next tip, I've got a story to go along with it, but it is to let them take the lead. I talk about this a ton in my high school guide because I have a whole chapter on dating, and you can get that down below. But it is so important for a man to feel like he's a man and to feel like he has a sense of confidence and that you're along for the ride with him and that he's a little bit in charge. Now, I'm gonna flat out tell you that with my husband and I'm a little bit the stronger personality, but when we were dating, I totally let him take the lead. If he asked me out, I would just say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you Friday and I'll be ready. Should I just, like, any ideas on what I should wear or like what we're doing? Because that would be my cue of what we were doing. But I would never be like, oh my gosh, it'd be so fun if we went and did this. Because even though it probably would be amazing and super fun, you gotta let them take the lead. And I totally outlined that in my guide below on this whole chapter on dating, so check that out. But I wanna tell you a story that goes along with this. So when baby Abby was falling in love for the first time with this guy, I can't call it love, falling in like with this guy in high school, being my positive, determined, forward self, and I could tell we were liking each other, I asked him on a date and I said, hey, my grandpa gave me these play tickets. He can't go. Do you want to come with me? And he was like all about it, right? But I was the one who planned the date. I was the one who, drove him there and took us back. Of course, I take us back. But I was the one who planned and initiated the whole date process. And even though it was like a good date and I could tell he was really into me, that relationship fell apart almost as fast as it started because I was not only too available, I was too forward, and I didn't let him take the lead. I 100% was like, oh, you like me? Let's go on dates. Oh, you like me? I'm gonna ask you to the dance. I didn't give him any room to pursue me and to take the lead on this relationship. And that is so important. So take it from a girl who had her heart shattered because I was too forward and too we'll go on this date, and hey, do you want to go hang out with my family here? Because a guy needs to feel like a guy, and he needs to feel like he is the one pursuing you. Because if it's the other way around and you're too available and you're too forward and you're the one planning the dates and taking him out, it's not going to be a chase for him, and he might still really like you, he might still really hang out with you, but he's not going to be crazy, drop everything to hang out with you because he didn't have to fight for you. He didn't have to make this hard. And so it's really important. It's going to be really hard if you're like me and you have a really strong A-type personality to let them take the lead. Now, does this mean that you can never ask them to a girl's choice dance or you can never ask them out on a date? No. But just please, 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 please be sure that the first of your relationship is them taking the lead. And I'm going to be honest, there were so many relationships that started with me asking a guy I kind of knew and thought was cute to a dance, and then it turned into something more. But that's because, one, we were hanging out together, and then I let them take the lead from there. And if they wanted to ask me out again, they totally could. But I wasn't the one at the end of the date saying, so what are you doing next weekend? Instead, I was the one giving them all the clues, giving them all the flirtiness and all the I really like you vibes, but I'm not going to be the one to just ask you out on another date. He's got to take that step. So take it from me, girl, because one of my very first relationships blew up in my face because I was way too forward and I was taking the lead when I should have let him take the lead. Be someone that they want to show off. And I do not mean in your looks. Now, hear me out on this one. I think that especially when you're starting a relationship and you're just trying to reel this guy in and you're trying to figure out how to make this guy crazy about you, it's really important that you put your best foot forward. Not so much for him, but for yourself. Because I don't know about you, I feel way more confident and way more flirty and that I'm gonna put myself out there when I look gorgeous, when my hair is done and when I like my outfit and when I'm not like tugging and pulling and feeling like, oh, this doesn't fit me right. So obviously look good for you, look good for your confidence sake, but be somebody that they want to show off and not necessarily in your looks. This speaks to more of who you are as a person. Be somebody that if they were to tell their friends that you were their girlfriend, that they would say that statement with pride. And you do that by being somebody who has like so much more to them than just this relationship. That you are somebody that is working on your talents and your career and your education, and you're focused on other priorities besides this guy. It's really, really common, especially when you're in like that heart-throbbing butterflies of like starting a new relationship, to just think about this guy and to just focus on that. But to be somebody that they want to show off, you need to make sure that you're rounding out all your other corners, because especially I think back to like high school and stuff, you want to have a reputation that somebody would be extremely lucky to date you. Not the reputation of, oh my gosh, I saw her get in a fight with another girl, or, oh really? I heard that she did this and this on the weekend. Like, this is all a little bit about reputation management, because, I mean, think about it. When you date a guy, think about it this way. When you like somebody and you're with all your girlfriends and you're having girl chat, there's certain guys that you can throw out there and all the girls would be like, oh my gosh, he's the cutest, he's the sweetest, he always helps me with math, like, oh, I just think he's the coolest, neatest guy, right? And even if they don't know him, they're like, oh, I think I've heard of him, or, oh my goodness, I'll have to like look into him, right? Those are all responses that you want. You don't want the response of, hey, I think I'm liking this guy, and then saying, oh, he's awesome, but I heard he was dating this other girl, or I heard he was like a little bit of a player, or, oh, like I don't know how I feel about him, right? Those are not responses that you want from your girlfriends, right? Think about it on the other side. Your guys, they all talk, they do. You don't want him to throw out your name as somebody that he's like really interested in, and having his other guy friends be like, oh, really? I totally saw her cuss out another girl, or I never seen her smile once in her life and she's in my math class, and I understand that there's a lot of value in not giving any fluff or notice to what other people think about you, but I do think that it's really important that as you're dating somebody, you put your best foot forward, that you're somebody that they want to show off to their parents, you're somebody that they want to show off to all their friends, and you can do that in so many different ways. And even if these people don't know you at all, you can start to do that by being somebody that they know that when they take you to their family party or even just hanging out with their friends, that you're going to be kind, you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to go say hi to other people, and you're not going to just be this little wallflower clinging to him, or even worse, like icy or cold to anybody, because that's not somebody they want to show off. So I understand that maybe it's not your personality to be a social butterfly, and I'm not saying be different than who you are, but I'm just saying that when you have the chance to be with your guy and he is showing you off, and that'd be in any situation where he brings you somewhere public or to meet his friends, his family, holding your hand in the hall at school, be sure that you're putting your best self forward, and that these people leave thinking, man, I really like so-and-so's girlfriend, or man, I hope you date her some more, or bring her around some more. She was super nice. And all of us, regardless if we're Miss Popularity or Miss Bubbly, we can be nice, we can be kind, we can put our best self forward. So do not forget that you want to be somebody that they want to show off. Girl, I just shared with you some of my best tips on how to get a guy to be crazy about you. Now, I mentioned this before, but I've had some really, really high highs when it comes to dating, and I've had some tremendous lows. And I share all of those juicy details in my high school guide down below because I just feel like dating and high school and like making a guy crazy about you, it's like a real part of your experience. It's a real part of figuring out your relationship. So check that guide out down below because I know you're gonna die about some of these experiences I've had. Like when a guy broke up with me while he ate a Wendy's sandwich and didn't offer me any food. I mean, there's just crazy things that can happen. So I hope these tips help you out. I wish you the best of luck in your relationship. Savor these moments. They're fun. It's fun to fall in love. And girl, being the person that watches these videos, who cares about your self-development and, you know, working on these things, I know you're already somebody that they want to show off and they'd be thrilled to date. So best of luck to you. I hope that you never come to this, but if you do need to, check out this video on like what to do if your boyfriend says he just wants to be friends, because that can happen too. Happened to me. So check that video out next if you need just a little prep work on that. But wishing you best of luck, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. So, Abby J out.